Haven't you always wondered what it would be like to be in their shoes, to do the extraordinary, travel someplace you've never been? I'm on the search for interesting stories that touch the heart and soul. Let's take that journey together. We'll go places, see things, meet people. So, what's it like? I have no idea, so let's go find out. Vancouver Island has become a mecca for local artists. It's something about the trees here. They say there's a spirit, a certain energy, and creative flow. I think it's true, and I don't think you can find it anywhere else in Canada. In a minute, you'll meet Francois Mongeau, artist, woodcarver, and gentle human being who seems to have a real connection with the spirit here. I'm Linda Tenney, and this is What's It Like?
The tree, being first growth, so it was like an older being. The otter, I wanted to do a bowl, and I thought, well, I'd like to keep it very stylized so that it kind of flows with the bowl, so that the actual animal and the bowl is all one piece. And it was part of the spirit of the tree.
Francois was first drawn to wood carving when he studied with Haida carver Robert Davidson.
He took me in and kind of introduced me to the woods. He was working with giants, like very large pieces of cedar and fir. I just, all of a sudden it was like, I knew that this was the medium that I wanted to start working with. I never regretted it because it always inspires me. Wood, I could go through the forest and I could feel the energy. And that's what it gets transferred when you actually carve it, because the wood actually has energy, and it feeds you. Same wood as this one. I've been doing it for 40 years now, so it's like second nature. I don't have to think when I'm doing it, All I'm doing is, like, when I see something, like this particular piece is yellow cedar, and it's very old, and I've had this since probably the 70s.
Working with Japanese craftsmen gave Francois a deep appreciation for the beauty of wood, to revere it as they do, to treat it with great respect. That philosophy remains inherent in everything he now creates.
That was a very good experience. That was one of the highlights in my life, to have that chance to actually work with Japanese people, and they're reverent of wood. Wood is like, to them, like as a carver, I was treated like I was, one of the highest in society, because that and the people that do the joinery, they really revere them, and they keep them busy, and like they keep supporting them. It's natural to put something that has a carving or really fine joinery in your house. This is what happens, and they spend hours and hours. This house was like 3 years in the making, and we did doors, and we did windows, and spiral stairways, and furniture. I did chairs that I'd never done chairs before. I got into making chairs and then designing them for the people, and so it really was an experience in itself.
Francois is passionate about transforming wood not only into art, but into living, functional art, and the next generations of his family are following in his path.
And I thought, well, if I could apply the art to functional pieces, then that way I could actually generate enough money, and then at the same time put the art, keep putting my art out. And that's how I got started with the doors and mantles, and like a lot of posts for like entrance posts and purlings and that kind of thing, And then I started shipping all over the world. I have doors in Greece and in Japan, and all over the States, and Canada. Then from there, I went into working with David Jardine, who's has Comfort Log Homes. So I had like cougars jumping into the living room type thing in the second floor, and also lots of doors. For probably 5 years, I was that's mostly what I was doing. And so it made it really, really interesting. That's how I got into doors. Now we're still making doors, you know, because the first person that ever commissioned me to do a door was somebody that was from Qualicum Beach, and it had a bed and breakfast. And it was a Japanese style bonsai tree I had a copper inlay, hammered copper, you know, that it went behind the tree. And she kind of opened the door to all of this that happened after, you know. And it's funny how life takes you to all different places.
Francois' son Galen is a woodcarver in his own right, often using antique tools passed along to him by a friend years ago. It's a skill that he's already teaching his own son, Maru.
You know, I have my son here in the shop, and he's super precise. Like precision is and you know, joinery is what he does, and I could really, really appreciate it. My precision or my tolerance is not half of what he does, you know. And I could see him grow. I mean, you know, I taught him a lot of what I knew, but he also taught himself. What I taught them, I think, was how to think for yourself, you know, and how to grow from what you experiment with, you know. And to give that chance to young kids, I think, is very important.
You've been doing this for an awfully long time, Francois. Do you think you'll ever retire?
When I work with wood, I actually get energy. I get energized. The more you do it, the more it's like whenever, you know, a lot of people say to me, says, well, you know, don't you miss the piece when you finish? And I go, no, it's on the contrary, because when it's finished, the next idea is coming in. You're constantly inspired, you know? You're constantly inspired by everything that's around you, you know?
This continuing series of discovery is brought to you by EyesOnBC Publishing on Vancouver Island in British Columbia. I'm Linda Tenney, and I'll be your host as we travel the road to find out what's it like.